It's a bit bright, but anyway, hello guys, you're all welcome to the channel, and this is build update number 5 on the Hobby Boss Leopard 2 A6M, and we've got it made. Well, we've got the main body of the tank made, so now we're going to get it painted. So we're going to start off as usual, get it all masked up, areas that need to be masked. And then I'm going with my first coat. Okay, now normally I'd give it an undercoat of the NATO black, and then work in with the colours, but I've decided to kind of forego the undercoat, but give it a nice good coat of the green, the NATO green. Okay, the three colours I'm going to use is NATO green, NATO brown and NATO black, and that'll be the camouflage scheme on it. So I'm going to give it a really good coat of the green, leave that drying for a day or two, let it set in properly, and then do the other colours. So starting off anyway, I made a bit of a start. I did the masking. Okay, I masked off the tracks here, okay, because I already had, I've already done the bottom section. So I just masked off the tracks because I don't want to go ruining what I've already gotten done. Doesn't matter here. I have masked off the back. Okay. Right, like I said, it doesn't really matter up the front, but at the back I have a fair bit of weathering and all of that in there. So it's going to be hard to kind of get in there. So it's easy just to mask it off. So therefore, I only have a small little bit to kind of get in there. So next step now is to get that all green. Yes, get it all nice and green. So the colour I'm going to use, of course, like I said, it's NATO green, which is XF67. Okay, XF67 NATO green from Tamiya. I've enough. So I'm going to get them done and get it all green. So we'll come back then. We'll have a look at it, and we'll see how all that has taken to the vehicle. Okay, so see you soon. Stick with me. Okay, so there we have it. We have the NATO green down. Okay, there we go. XF67 NATO green from Tamiya. Okay, that's the paint I used. Now the other two colours we're going to use in the camouflage are XF69 NATO black and XF68 NATO brown. Kind of noticing a theme there. Yes, NATO colours, because it is a NATO vehicle. So we're going with the NATO colours. Okay, they're not the colours given in the call out, because the call out doesn't give for Tamiya colours, and the green that they're giving there is a much, I don't know, sort of a little more leafy coloured green. Personally, I don't like it. I think it looks horrible. So I'm going to go for my NATO green. Then again, you see, it is my kit and my model, and I'll paint it the way I want to. Okay, so I'm going to be accurate enough, right, with the camo scheme. And when I say accurate enough, is I'll kind of I'll do my best to kind of replicate it. Okay, but we'll have a look at the NATO green down anyway, and it went down nicely, nice and smooth. Covered all the places where it was supposed to cover. Okay, that Tamiya paint is absolutely beautiful. It sprays perfect, really does. And if you mix it, say at the very start, when you get your bottle, open it up and just top it up with the appropriate thinner. Okay, X22A thinners, unless you want to use the lacquer thinner, then if you want to get a harder surface, but make sure you wear a mask if you use the lacquer thinners. I'll tell you that much. It's a little bit more harsh. Okay, so she's ready for the next step. Now I was looking at the camouflage scheme. Okay, and I was going to do the brown next. I had planned to do the brown next all along, and then when I kind of looked at the camouflage scheme, I noticed that the next sort of more dominant colour would be the black. Okay, as you can see there, black is the more dominant of the colours. there, you know, apart from the green obviously, which is the base color, and then you got the black is the next most prominent color. So I'm going to do the NATO black next. Okay, so how I decided to mark it out, I'm going to use a hairy stick. Okay, I'm going to paint around. I'm going to do the, you know, the outlines, then fill it in, then using the airbrush, kind of speed things up more than anything else, and won't be getting brush strokes and things like that. So wish me luck, because I'm going to try that. Pretty difficult looking, you know, when you're considering freehand, and I'm not an artist, far from it. So I'm going to attempt this, and we'll see how it turns out. That's all we can do, see how it turns out. So I'll be back to you when the black is done. We can kind of compare it and see that I get anywhere close. Hopefully get kind of close. You know, I know I'm not going to get perfection, but I'm looking for kind of close, and kind of close will do me. Kind of close will do me. Okay, so bear with me. I'll get that done. Next clip, we'll have the black done. See you then. Okay, dokily. So there's the black done now. Okay, I didn't get it exact. Okay, I didn't get it exact, but I got it close enough, and I'm quite happy with close enough. So next step for this now is to do the brown. Okay, so brown next. Then we got a few more colours to add to it, believe it or not. I mean, I got to get the brown done now. So there's the main kind of thing, and as you can see, I got it close enough. I'm happy with that. I mean, the main colour is the black going through it, right? So next step now is to add in the brown. Now also, as you can see here, we've got some dark yellow bits and pieces here and there in it as well. Okay, so they've got to be done. These two pieces here at the back, they're both dark yellow. Right, I'm kind of blocking it out from you there. Right, these two here, they're both going to be dark yellow, as is this section up here. So obviously they did not sort of come as part of the Leopard 2 A6. They're probably part of the Canadian version of it, whatever the Canadians wanted in their version of it. That's what's in that. So those colours have to be added. Then of course, we've got the aerials. They're going to be olive drab. Okay, because I'm just going from our own aerials. They were olive drab, and then we've got the tools to paint. Now, from as far as I know, okay, the tools were basically, you know, even going by the picture on this, they're showing that the tools were, they're showing that they're the camouflage colour. Now, whether they're supposed to be or not, it's one of those things that I'm not going to do. Okay, I'm going to give them their own colour, purely because I want them to just kind of stick out a bit. Okay, so again, we're breaking away from what it's supposed to be, moving into the realms of it's my model, I'll do what I want with it. And we've also got the toe ropes. Okay, so they're going to be in dark iron, head of the shovel in dark iron, head of the two shovels, should I say, in dark iron, as well as the tanker's bar there, the saw then as well. There's a bushman's saw there, so that's going to be painted as well. Colours to come later. Okay, so nearly there with the painting of this. Then when it's painted, it's literally a case of I have to get this weathered. Okay, so I have to get the decals on. It's only a small few decals on it, so I'll get them on, and then gloss coat it, weather it, and dull coat it, and then on with the then we're on then with the slat armor. Okay, so getting there slowly but surely, but we're getting there. And next step now is to add the brown into the camouflage. So we'll get that done and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so now the red is the brown is done. Okay, and it's looking quite nice. It really, really is. I'm really impressed with how it's coming out. As you can see, it's still a bit shiny, it's still a bit wet. That's why I'm not actually, touching it. But I'm quite happy with that. I'm very happy with that. Okay. Now that will kind of tone back a bit and dull itself down a bit. Blend all in together. Should be nice. So next step now is to do the detail painting. Like I said, there's these three sections here have to be done in dark yellow. The aerials are going to be done in olive drab, and I'll be doing the tools and the toe rope as well. And that's really it for the detail painting. There isn't very much else. One or two little touch-up bits and pieces to be done. The headlamps there, I'm going to give the front of them a little bit of silver, just in the centres of those, and to make them look like headlights anyway. And that should be it then. It should be sort of on then to decals. Okay, so I'll get the detail painting done on them. Come back and as usual we'll have a look and we'll see how all that is turning out. Okay, so I'm after getting the decals on, a little bit of detail painting, not very much, and giving a nice gloss coat. Okay, so the gloss coat is now dry because I did it about this time last night, so it said it's 24 hours. It's quite durable and it gives a nice protection. Okay, protecting the paint job underneath, because it is kind of fragile. It is scrape it and things like that. So it puts a nice sort of a coating of protection down on top of it, and it's also a good base for starting the weathering process, which we're going to start getting done now. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at the little bit of detail painting that was done to it, right? Remember, it is quite shiny, so you're going to get loads of reflections. Okay, at the top there we have our tools. Okay, now for the handles of the shovels I've decided to go with olive drab. Okay, so they're kind of they're military looking. Okay, I have seen people doing them in wood. Okay, I did watch a build, but it was I think it was an A5 actually, or something like that. Whereas the back is basic, the body's basically the same. It's just differences to equipment and the turret. But he painted the shovels in with wooden handles, which they do have wooden handles, but they be painted green. Well, I know that a lot of countries would have sort of paint their the handles of their shovels and things to kind of match into the tank, so they don't kind of stick out a bit. They blend into it. It stops people robbing them more than anything else. It's not necessarily a camouflage thing. Okay, so there she goes. Decals are on again, like I said. With sort of Canadian maple leaves on either side of the turret. We have a kind of I suppose it's a kind of a climbing up marker. There you go. You can climb up from there. We also had its number. Okay, front and back. Yeah, its number. It's in there behind the. There we go. You can see it there. We got the number done as well. So there were the decals. There wasn't very many of them, and what should we say? We're all ready to go now for the next step. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to do very, very, very light weathering on it. Okay, I want to be able to see all the nice colours and the details and all that kind of stuff when the whole thing is finished. So I'm giving it a light weathering. So what I'm going to do really is going to give it a black pin wash, of course, just to kind of let little highlights sort of come out at you. And go on then. I'll give it a good dull coat. Make it nice and dull looking, and then kind of give it a dry brushing. With I'll probably use XF57 buff. That'll give it a nice kind of a dusty-ish look, hopefully, but still be able to kind of see all the details and not covered up with, you know, mud and dirty look. I don't want mud and don't want kind of a dirty look on it. I want it nice and clean. So I'll get that done. I'll get the pin wash done. Usually, like what I do for pin washes, I use some a bit of white spirit and some black oil paint. So nothing sort of I don't use products, as you know. So I'll make up a reasonably thick wash with that and do all the little around various little details and all the grooves, things like that. So when that's done, we'll come back, we'll have a look at it, and then I'll dull coat the whole thing. Right, okay, so I'm after getting the detail painting done. Oh, sorry, not the detail painting. What am I saying? I did that ages ago. I'm after getting the pin wash, detail wash, shall we say. That's what got me kind of confused, isn't it? Yeah, very easy confusing me. Right, and as you can see, all the little dints and grooves and things that stick up, they kind of show off that little bit better. Okay, the lines are a bit darker and all that kind of stuff. Now, I did say all I was going to do now was to give it a dull coat and dry brushing, nice light weathering. And then I've been thinking to myself, there's a type of weathering that would be ideal for this one that I haven't done in a long time. Okay, and one of the main reasons that I haven't done it in a long time is when I moved house from the last place I was to here, I basically lost me bits and pieces. Okay, so what I'd lost was these things, soft chalk pastels. Okay, now these say soft pastels. These better be chalk pastels now. Otherwise, I'm kind of caught in the middle of a right stupid little bit and pieces. But anyway, I was out of my pastels and I'd forgotten about them. Okay, so here we've got your typical box of pastels. And what are pastels basically? They're kind of, to me, what they would be sort of hardened bits of pigments. Okay, so like I say, I don't sort of use pigments because I don't want to go buy pigments. I used to use pastels, as I said, in the past a number of occasions, and this is what they are. They're pastels, and they do the same kind of job as you would do with pigments. Okay, and one thing that people don't tend to do with pigments, really because of the fact that they're just a little bit too, shall we say, a little bit too a little bit goes an awful long way, and they kind of tend to stain very easy. That's about the easiest way to describe it. And the pigments themselves, they're just a little bit too pure. Okay, so what this is, once you scrape it like that, okay, see the way I'm scraping, okay, you end up with some powder. Okay, now I'm going to scrape it in a couple of different colours because I want a kind of a lighty dusty powder. Okay, so I'll mix in some white, some say dark yellow, and a bit of this nice sandy colour as well. And to that then I'm going to add a bit of water, make up a kind of a sludge, and basically just paint the whole feckin' thing with that. Leave it dry. Okay, and once it's dry, then you can remove what bits you want off areas you want it, and you can kind of have it built up in other areas, and it'll be like sort of as if it went through a dusty area, which is exactly what I want. Okay, and then dull coat over that, and that'll seal all that in. So I haven't done it for a long time. As I said, and with these pastels I've never actually used this specific ones. I used a much cheaper ones when I was doing it the last time. These seem to be quite nice. They scrape up really well. Okay, and you mix in a couple of colours, like I said. Now I need more of the lighter ones, more of the lighter colours. Tell you what, I'll carry on with this and we'll come back to it then. I'll show you when I have enough scraped in and we can carry on then from there. Okay, so now I'm after getting all those colours, giving it a good old shake. Okay, and there you go, you get a nice sort of a sandy-ish colour. Okay, now to that we will add a couple of drops of water. Okay, as you see, you've got to give it a bit of a stir, otherwise I don't want to mix in. Oops. I still don't want to mix in. But you've got to be persistent. You want that to absorb the little bit of water that is there. Now, one hint that I have used in the past is a little bit of washing up liquid, and unfortunately I don't have any down here. But I do have a tiny little drop of, if you don't tell anybody, I won't tell anybody either. Okay, a little bit of shampoo. Shampoo, the tiniest little bit. All I want to do is just to break the surface tension with the water. Okay, and I find once you break the surface tension in the water, it should start to kind of mix through eventually. Why is it not mixing through? Maybe it's the is it the there she is. She's starting to kind of mix now. It's taking its time. Did need the little drop of say soap basically in the water. There you go. You end up with a kind of a paste. So you gotta mix in, keep it going, keep it mixing. We're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Okay, I can see it there. Okay. Now, there she is, she's mixing together now. She's mixing in there now. Because all it was doing earlier on was it was literally just floating on top, which wasn't doing any good whatsoever. So that's the thing. So when you use a bit of it, a little bit of either washing up liquid, I use a bit of shampoo, a bit of Lynx, it'll attract the ladies. Okay. So the leopard will get a nice boyfriend when this is over. Okay, so now we've got the messy bit. Okay. When I say messy bit, I mean a messy bit. Even in just mixing it, I'm after making a mess. Right, so we'll take off our turret. There we go. Haha. Damn, you'll be awkward. Okay, and it's literally with our solution, paint it on like that. Okay. And all the wheels. And it's one of those things that you don't actually see the effect until it starts to dry in. So you don't really know whether you're doing it right or wrong until it's just kind of too late, really. Okay, so what is the inside of the tracks? Put a bit of the outside of the tracks there as well. We want it everywhere. We want it everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. Okay, literally cover the vehicle with it. Okay, so I carry on with that. come back then and we'll have a look at it, and we'll have a look at it in different stages of the drying. I'll do a quick few clips of it as it's drying in, so hopefully you'll kind of get the idea. Okay then, so there she is, and as you can see I've literally just finished it. It's all wet and just covered in this sludge. Okay, sludge is all that you can call it. Mixture of the chalk dust. Okay, but not ordinary chalk dust, I have to use pastel chalks, okay? And you can load it on there, it doesn't make any difference, because we're going to remove what we don't want, okay? It is a kind of a time-consuming technique, but it does look good for a finish, and I'm amazed I haven't done it for so long. All for the want of a little box of pastels, okay, and they're quite reasonable, quite cheap, not expensive at all. This little box here cost me that, okay, €5.25. Okay, bought that in Silks today, where my daughter-in-law works. She wasn't working today, unfortunately, but because when she's working I get a bit of a discount. But she wasn't working today, so I got no discount, so I had to pay the full whack. And even at that, it wasn't expensive, lads, as you saw. $5.25. That'd be, say, the cost of one little tub of pigments, okay, in the one colour. Whereas for that now I'm after getting a dozen colours and a dozen pigments, okay. Now obviously I'm going to use more, say, of the black and the browns and the white, rather than, say, the blues and maybe the reds as well, but you'd never know, we might find a use for them. It is a very, very messy technique, trying to kind of keep these videos nice and short, but I tend to ramble on a bit. Okay, we'll come back in a few minutes when it's dried in a bit more, and we'll see how it kind of goes. And like I said, also what I'll be doing is when the whole thing is completely dry, I'm going to give it an overnight to dry, so it's perfectly dry, and you'll see what it looks like, and it leaves that kind of a layer of dust on it. It's actually quite nice, and then we'll start removing it from areas we don't want it to go, and playing around with it, and that's easily done then with a clean damp brush. You kind of remove it off areas you don't want it, and manipulate it into little grooves and little areas where sand and dust would accumulate, okay. Even as this stuff starts to dry now, I can kind of you know, bring it in a downward motion there, and I'll catch all these little lips that would catch dust and sand and that kind of stuff, okay. But you'll be playing around with it for ages. You've been keep it in front of you. Look at the areas itself. Well, I want a bit more there, so simple as that. Just put a bit more there. It's very easy to kind of remove before we kind of seal it all in. You don't really seal it all in until you're totally happy with it. Don't worry about the water. The water will drain away. Okay, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to drain away and soak away and leave behind what's in the water. Okay. There we go. Go back to that in a while and play around with it. And like I said, go to areas where you think dust is going to accumulate that little bit more. And if it's a bit too much, like I said, it can all be removed. Okay, as it dries, you'll see little areas where it's drying up. So anyway, lads, I'm going to leave that. I'll give it about an hour. We'll come back and we'll have a look at it and see what it's like in an hour's time. Okay. Well, here we go. Here we go. There. play around with the camera a bit. But leaving it dry now for about an hour, and as you can see, it's already getting that lovely, lovely dust all over it. Still a bit wet in the wheels, but along the sides there, you can see it all nicely dusting up. Okay, it dusts up the whole lot, and you do the tracks and everything. Okay, with the with our homemade pigments, right? And here's the turret. Now, remember, we're going to be removing, shall I say, quite a lot of it. But I'm going to leave it dry in for another little bit. I want it all to, dry in properly and cake its way in, and then we'll start removing it. So I'm going to give that an overnight. We'll come back tomorrow. Be just a few seconds for you. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll start removing all that, and that should be once that's all removed, then quick dull coat just to seal that pigments dust. We call it pigments because keep calling it pastels will be sort of sound like an artist, and we're far from it. But we leave it dry in fully, and we'll come back then, we'll have a look at it, and then we'll start removing it. And like I said, then the dull coat then will seal all that in, and then we can start with the bar armour. Okay, so I'm going to have to change the angle there again, just so you can see that easier, right? So that's what it looks like now when it's all dried in. Okay. Then what you do is, now it depends on which sort of effect you want to get with it. You can get a nice soft brush with a bit of water on it, and you can sort of clean off loads of areas, but it depends how much you want it. So the way I'm doing it, because I want it pretty dusty. Okay, so I'm using reasonably hard brush. This brush I use for dry brushing, actually, handy little brush, right? And literally like that, remove the excess by literally just, you kind of scrape it away with the brush. What you leave behind is a nice dusty effect underneath, right? So you'll end up then, I have the base done already, okay, you end up then with it like that, right? Now I added some extra splashing work here. So what I did last night was, because this was well dry by last night, it got a bit too late for doing a bit of recording, and I wanted to play around with it a bit, and that's when I come up with that, by just removing it like that. I still get it nice and dusty, and then I made up some, there was some left in the bottom of the yolk, added a little bit of water and a couple of more darker pigments, and with a softish brush, that brush, nicely loaded up, and a toothpick, and just flicked it on, and flicked it up there, so I got kind of mud effects there on it as well, right, which I'm quite happy with. Now it is very, very shiny, okay, it still has that gloss to it, but like I said, I'm going to dull coat all that, and that will seal all that extra stuff in, because it is, pretty removable by touching it with your hands. You'll be removing it off. So by dull coating the whole lot, then that will seal it all in, and it'll give it a nice, hopefully, a nice dusty look to it. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with this, right? And as you see, it's as simple as that, right? See, can we do it? That's all I'm doing. I'm moving it away. Now I suppose you could sort of use a nice light brush for brushing off to see how much you want, how much you've moved away. And play around with it then like that, and get the rest of it off. And when it's off, then we're going to dull coat it. Okay, give it a nice dull coat. So I'm going to carry on with that, get that dull coated, and then we'll see what more we've got to do to it before we move on to the final part. Okay, so there we go. Now I am actually very, very happy with the result. on the main body of the tank. And like I said, you know, if it was just, say, that model without all the goo, garb, protection, God knows what, I'd be thrilled. I really would be thrilled, because it was a fabulous model so far. Very, very happy with the paint. Like I said, I'm going to actually finish it off and then kind of add on all the bits and pieces and then weather them, and easier for getting into the places, you know yourself. But really, really happy with how that turned out now, as you can see. Okay. Oh, there we go. With all my kind of mud splatters and things along the side. Right. All nicely lightened off, weathered in. Okay. And you saw how I got all those effects. Very, very simple. And the last little bit of what I did then was, once all the dull coat dried in, touched up a few areas. In other words, made down another little bit of mix of that sandy mix, right? Sandy coloured mix, alright, okay, and I got it in around sort of certain areas that would have collected a lot more, because I kind of obliterated a little bit too much of it, and then gave it a dry brush with flat black, and also a small dry brush in a couple of areas with a light grey, okay, a nice light grey. Why, I don't know, because it kind of gives it half a sort of a metallic effect. More of it, say, around the back, around by the tools and things. You can possibly kind of just get, see the way they glint out at you and things like that, because everything is nice and dull now. So anything that kind of glints back would really be, say, the reflection of the light, because there is quite a lot of light on it. And wheels, how they turned out. Really, really happy with everything else. Okay, and our tracks then. Nice bit of built up of God knows what else on it, right? And in the back then, again, another nice build up of mud and dirt and all that kind of stuff. And no, it was all done with our homemade pigments. Okay, the soft pastels, mix a colour you're happy with, add a bit of water, don't forget the little drop of Lynx, any kind of soapy water, okay, any kind of soap should I say, and all you want is just the tiniest little drop. It's just to break the surface tension of the water so that it'll actually absorb the chalks, and just plaster it over everything. Make sure it isn't too thick, unless you want it really, really thick, okay, and then, like I said, you could go around them with a reasonably stiff brush, and you can remove it from the areas you don't want it in. And then once it's set, then, like I said, dull coat, touch up a couple of areas, dry brush, there she is. Okay, so I'm really, really happy with that. Actually, that is amongst one of the best of the weatherings that I've ever done, I must admit. I really must admit, because I'm so impressed with that. It'd be a shame now to kind of continue on with that, because I got to go to all the other garb on that. So in the next video, don't forget to join me for all the garb that goes on that. Okay, we're going to be starting on the slat armor. So best thing to do to join me for that would be, of course, to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Also, please give this video a thumbs up, and anything you want to ask me or anything you want to say, you can add it to the comments box below. Okay, so until the next time, stay safe, enjoy your modelling, be nice to one another, and go and buy yourself a kit, build it and enjoy it, and I'll see you very, very soon.